All right, let's jump right in. Today we're diving into the Grande Hotel in Araxá, Brazil.
Ooh, exciting.
I know.
Yeah.
And our listeners sent us a really interesting mix of stuff to go through.
Yeah. Articles, histories, even some YouTube
I
videos.
can't wait to see what we uncover.
Me too.
So let's start with the heart of Araxá, the
Yep.
water.
The water.
Yeah. Not your average H2O, is it?
No, not really, no. It's sulfurous, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And even a bit radioactive.
Radioactive.
Yeah, but even way back when, people were really drawn to it.
Really?
Yeah, like Pereira in 2016, he wrote about people watching animals heal in the water.
Oh, wow.
And it's been linked to well-being long before any spa was built.
Right. So it's kind of like the Roman baths.
Exactly. You know that whole idea of taking the waters for your health? It's super old.
That's fascinating. So you've got this town, it's growing around these kind of magical springs.
Right.
And then enters this amazing figure, Dona Beja.
Ah, Dona Beja.
I've got to admit, I don't know a ton about Brazilian history.
Yeah.
So remind me, who was she?
Okay, so she was a legend in Araxá,
Oh.
known for her beauty and political influence.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she had a wildlife, abduction, power struggles.
It sounds like something out of a movie.
Yeah, for sure. But the main thing for our deep dive here
Okay.
is that her influence, along with those springs, they really shaped how Arax grew.
From a little settlement to this bustling town.
Exactly.
That must have been something to see.
It was. It wasn't overnight, though,
It was gradual.
Right. Like, as more people came to the springs, things changed.
Right.
We see this evolution in San Hilaire's account. It's from 1975.
Okay.
And Ocupação do Município de Araxá, it talks about the shift
From what?
from basic accommodations to way fancier buildings.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and it all centered around the church at first.
Interesting.
But as people flocked to the springs, things got more elaborate.
Makes sense. So when does the Grande Hotel come into the picture?
Ah, the Grande Hotel.
Was it a sign that Araxá was ready to be a world-class destination?
You got it. 1915 was a big year. Oh, yeah.
The springs were given to the state,
Okay.
and that was the start of something big. They had a vision.
Or Arax.
Right. And the Grande Hotel was the symbol of that vision.
I've got to say, those pictures and videos you sent, that hotel is stunning.
It is. It really is.
Seriously.
The architect, Luiz Signorelli, he really went all out.
Like how?
He blended like classical influences with more modern elements.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't just about looks, though.
It wasn't.
No, the size, the fancy interiors.
Yeah.
It was all meant to make a statement.
And they succeeded. It's breathtaking.
It really is.
But building something that huge, especially on marshy land, that must have been a nightmare.
Oh, absolutely. Urbanismo in Minas Gerais,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
It goes into all the construction details. It's amazing.
I can't even imagine. The engineering must have been insane.
Oh, yeah. It was a massive undertaking.
And then there's the furniture. Some of it designed by, wait, what was his name? Lausbitch something?
Lausbitch Hearth.
Yeah. And crafted at that art school in São Paulo. The Liceu de Artes e Oficios.
Right.
It's details like that.
They really bring the whole thing to life.
Yeah, this marriage of traditional and modern, so cool.
It's more than a building. It's a work of art.
You got it.
Speaking of art, we can't forget those gardens. They're just as amazing as the hotel itself.
Ah, Roberto Burle Marx.
That's right, the landscape architect.
Yeah, he was brilliant, blending nature and design like no one else.
So he didn't just make pretty gardens.
No, he used plants from Brazil to make this tapestry of color and texture.
Oh, I see.
He really got that the landscape was part of the experience,
Not just a backdrop.
Exactly. He wanted to weave Brazil's beauty into the hotel itself.
So smart. This interplay of man-made and natural, it's everywhere in the design.
It really is.
It's like they built a whole world for guests to escape to.
Right.
Not just a hotel, a destination.
And that's where it gets really interesting.
How so?
If we think about the bigger picture of Brazil back then.
Okay, what was happening? What were the social dynamics at play here?
Oh.
Okay, so the Grande Hotel, it wasn't just a fancy place to stay. It was reflecting something bigger about Brazil.
Yeah, exactly. It showed these shifting aspirations, like how people wanted to spend their leisure time.
And that's all captured in Grande Araxá.pdf.
Right, and you see it in the amenities they offered, like a casino.
Oh, wow, fancy.
Yeah, and a Scotch bar.
Ooh la la.
Even programs for kids so families could come too.
So it wasn't just for the rich and glamorous.
Right, it was like they wanted to be this like microcosm of Brazilian society.
I see, a place for everyone.
Yeah, and this makes sense, because Brazil was modernizing.
Right.
And the Grande Hotel, it was like the showcase of this new lifestyle.
So they were saying, come experience the future and bring the kids.
Exactly. But was this like a common thing for hotels back then?
Yeah. Did other places try to do this whole appealing to everyone thing?
Good question. And that's where comparing it to other projects can help.
Okay.
EDF, Urbanismo em Minas Gerais, talks about this engineer, Lincoln Continentino.
Okay.
He worked on the Grande Hotel, but also other projects that were inspired by, the European Garden City model.
I've heard of those. These sound really lovely.
They are.
All about being in harmony with nature.
Exactly. Continentino and others, they were looking at ways to be sophisticated, modern, but also connected to Brazil's natural beauty.
That sounds like a tough balance to strike.
It is, but you see that vision in the Grande Hotel with those amazing gardens.
And all the native plants?
Right. So it wasn't just copying European luxury.
It's making it Brazilian.
Exactly. And that's what's so cool about the Grande Hotel story. It's not just about the building itself.
It's about the why.
Right. Like, what were they trying to do, and how did it fit with what was happening in Brazil at the time?
Yeah, makes sense.
Like, how modernization and national identity played a role.
So fascinating. Okay, I want to go deeper into the design itself.
Oh, yeah.
What were the key elements that made it so unique?
Well, Barreiro de Araxá.pdf does a great job breaking it down. Yeah, it talks about the mix of styles, classical and modern.
Which gives it that distinct look.
Right. It's grand, but also sleek and modern.
Like, what are some examples of that?
Well, look at the facade. You've got those colonnades and arches.
Oh, yeah, very European.
Right. But then you've also got those streamlined geometric shapes, Art Deco.
Yes. I
Yeah.
remember seeing those in the video you sent.
Right. It's like they took the best of both worlds and made something totally new.
They really did. It's a fusion.
Yeah, and it's not just the architecture either.
It's not.
No, think about the gardens again, Burle Marx. He wasn't content with just traditional gardens.
He wanted to showcase Brazilian plants.
Exactly. It was like he was doing the same thing as the architects, taking inspiration but reinterpreting it for Brazil.
Right, making it their own.
Exactly. And you see that attention to detail everywhere.
Like where?
Well, even the interior design, like
Really?
Sendação como Barreiro de Araxá mentions how some furniture was made by local artisans.
I love that. Using traditional techniques.
It wasn't just a style choice.
It was about celebrating Brazilian craftsmanship.
Exactly. So every little thing, from the grand design to the furniture, it's telling the story.
About Brazil's ambition, its creativity, its heritage.
You said it perfectly. It brings us back to that idea, the Grande Hotel as a reflection of Brazilian society.
This amazing mix of history and modernity.
Exactly.
European influences, Brazilian identity.
All coming together.
It's mind-blowing how a building can do that.
It is, but it also reminds us that buildings, they don't exist on their own.
They're part of something bigger.
Right. They're influenced by everything around them, the people who build them, who use them.
That's a good point, and I think it leads us to the next part of our deep dive.
Yeah,
Because the Grande Hotel, it didn't always have it easy.
that's right.
It faced challenges, just like Brazil itself.
Exactly.
So I'm really curious, what hurdles did it encounter? How did it adapt to a changing world?
Wow.
We've covered so much ground with the Grande Hotel. It's been amazing.
It really has.
From its beginnings as this beacon of ambition
Right.
to its reflection of Brazilian society.
Right.
But things change, right? Time brings challenges.
Absolutely, even for grand hotels.
And the Grande Hotel definitely saw its share.
Yeah, that temporary closure in 1994,
Right.
it was a sign that things weren't quite right.
So what were some of those factors that led to the closure? I'm guessing money was an issue?
Finances are always tough for these historic places.
I bet.
Keeping them running, it takes a lot.
Right.
But it wasn't just that. I mean, tourism changes.
Yeah, what's hot one day is old news the next.
Exactly. And for a hotel, staying relevant is key.
It's like fashion, got to keep up with the trends.
Right. People want something new, something exciting.
So a hotel stuck in the past,
Yeah.
even a grand one, it's in trouble.
It is. So finding that balance,
Between history and modern expectations.
Exactly. That's the real challenge.
So how did the Grande Hotel deal with this? What happened after 1994?
Well, that closure, it really sparked a debate
About what?
about the best way forward, like how to manage the hotel.
Okay.
There was this editorial in Estado de Minas.
Right.
It called for private management, and it really got people thinking.
About the role of government versus private companies.
Right, like who's better at preserving these landmarks?
Interesting question.
It is.
So it wasn't just about reopening.
No, it was bigger than that.
It was about figuring out the future.
Exactly. And that's a tough question for a lot of historic places.
Yeah, I bet. So what did they end up doing? Did they go private?
They did, and Grande Hotel of Araxá talks about this new phase.
Okay.
They renovated a lot, updated rooms, made things more modern.
To attract new visitors.
Right. But they also really emphasized their history.
So they didn't erase the past.
No, they embraced it. They give historical tours, they highlight the original designs.
Oh, cool.
Even their marketing uses old photos, stories.
Smart. It's like saying, we're modern, but we've got this amazing past, too.
Exactly. They're appealing to everyone, luxury seekers, history buffs.
And, of course, let's not forget the water.
The thermal springs, yeah. Still the main attraction.
Right. And they haven't forgotten that. They're still promoting the health benefits.
That desire to take the waters, it's age-old.
It is. So, in a way, they've come full circle.
Back to their roots.
Exactly. It's about the springs. And that's what I love about the Grande Hotel's story.
What's that?
It's resilience, you know?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
It faced these challenges. It adapted. It found a way to stay relevant.
You said it.
It's inspiring.
Mm.
So I wonder, what can we learn from all this?
About.
About preserving history, our own personal stories, and the bigger picture.
That's a great question. I think the Grand Hotel, it reminds us that the past, it's not dead.
It's not.
No, it's not something to just lock away in a museum.
It can teach us.
Right, it can inspire us as we move forward. Like progress and preservation, they can go hand in hand.
Such a good point. Wow. What a great way to wrap up this deep dive. Thank you so much for taking us through this incredible journey.
It was my pleasure, and thank you for bringing these amazing sources.
And who knows, maybe someday we'll be sipping cocktails on that veranda ourselves.
I'd love that.
Well, until then, to all our listeners, keep exploring, keep asking questions, keep diving deep.
Hear, hear.